Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the December 18th Town Board meeting. Please rise for pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jeff Renahan, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Jessica Lopez, Third Ward.
Matthew Wolver, Fifth Ward.
Ann Shershon, Sixth Ward.
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, Attorney for the Town.
John Baisley, Town Supervisor. Welcome, everybody. This is a joint meeting tonight. We have our Committee of the Whole meeting, followed by the Town Board meeting. The Committee of the Whole meeting, we'll have a presentation to begin by Mark Coviello, Director of Veteran Services. And the Town Board meeting, item 1 is a public hearing on 1 Dutchess Avenue. Item 2 is a public hearing for Marple Road traffic signal stop sign. 3 is authorize supervisor to sign an ambulance agreement with Mobile Life. 4, consent of lead agency of Manor Hill Community Project and Raymond Avenue School Project. 5, accept certificates of attendance of Nicole Giamatti and Rocco Romeo. 6, reappoint Joseph Giamatti to the Board of Assessment Review. 7, appoint Lorraine Mirabello to the Conservation Advisory Commission. Number 8, approve a vacation rollover for Franco Zani. 9, accept the resignation of Sarah Taylor from Town Justice Court. Number 10, authorize the supervisor to sign a sidewalk agreement with Melvin Amando and Ira Steer for Arlington Dental. 11, authorize the supervisor to sign proposal contract with AKRF, RE Mobile North Road Engineering Services. And 12, accept the resignation of Laura Stefano from the Climate Smart Task Force Committee. This time I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for any item on the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to discuss any item on the agenda except for the public hearing? If not, motion to resume the rules?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to introduce Mark Coviello, Director of Veteran Services, to just give us a little presentation on what they offer down in the Veteran Services.
I appreciate it, Mr. Supervisor. I'd like to speak with the audience as I speak to you. Is that quite
Yeah,
all
just
right?
grab the mic.
Yeah. Give it a second.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Supervisor and the Town Board, for having me today. My name is Mark. I'm the Director for Dutchess County's Division of Veteran Services. I usually lead by asking if there's any veterans in the room today. If you could just acknowledge yourself. I know Jimmy, my buddy Jimmy. Well, if that's quite all right. I'm sure that there's family members and friends that you guys may have that you know that have served. And I've been going to each town throughout Dutchess County over the course of the past year to address the town boards and the constituents in attendance in an effort to do some more outreach. A lot of the things that me and Jimmy do together, we go to veterans events, the Legions, the VFWs, and it's fantastic to see the people that participate, but we see the same few hundred veterans over and over again, the ones who really participate, and that's great, but we must acknowledge the fact that there's a lot of people who served, get out of the service, they use their benefits, they go to college, they get a job, and they go about their lives, and they don't participate with military functions after their departure from the military, and that's fine. It's just that the VFWs and the Legions that they're not exposed to are really the front lines for letting them know what their benefits are. And if they're not being exposed to that, they don't know what their benefits are. So I wanted to introduce myself to all the board members and the constituents just so you guys are aware of what the Division of Veteran Services is and that it is available to your constituents out there, that you represent all the veterans in your community. The County Division of Veteran Services is a county entity. It's not the VA. It's an important distinction. We're not the federal VA. The federal VA is really the provider of the benefits and the health care and the medical treatment out there. Each county has a Division of Veteran Services and a veteran service officers within that. And what they do is they represent the veteran in their claim for benefits or just guidance through the system. And another thing to note is coming into the Division of Veteran Services is much less intimidating for a veteran to walk into Castle Point. If you walk into a hospital, there's thousands of people around you. You don't really know where to begin. The Veterans Benefits Administration is this huge organization, and it's very difficult to navigate through that structure. We're trained to do that, and we do it for the veteran. It's free of cost. We are located at the Poughkeepsie Journal Building, right across from City Hall, Poughkeepsie City Hall. The number there is 845-486-2060. You can always contact Supervisor Baisley. You can get a hold of me anytime. If you're comfortable with reaching out to your town board members before me, that's fine. They can get in touch with me anytime. Each town has a veteran liaison. Supervisor Baisley, is that you, correct? Fantastic. So you're going to continue that position through the next term?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Good. Do you have any questions for me about what we do for veterans or what we can do for some of your constituents or any of your family members out there, perhaps, before I leave? No? All right, awesome. I thank you again for the opportunity just to address you guys and make you guys aware of what we do there at the division.
Ray, do you have like a website or something?
We do, yeah.
Can
So
let
if
them know?
yeah, absolutely. If you go to the county website, Dutchess County, their departments section, you click on departments, just look up veterans, and you can go right there. And it talks about a bit what we do. You can email me and read about some of the benefits that are out there. I could go on for an hour about what the benefits are for veterans, but it's just best for you guys to just make the connection for us if you could. All right.
Definitely, Mark. After we had our first liaison meeting, we brought back all the information.
That's
It
great.
is posted out here in the hallway. We're trying to
Awesome.
follow anything you get that's upcoming, any events.
Yeah.
If you send it to us, we can also post it on the websites.
Definitely.
Make sure it's out there and on Gov Delivery.
Yep, there's a county calendar as well for veterans events, so you could also address that, and you could even copy the events that we have and bring them over to your calendar. That's totally fine.
That works.
Thanks, I really appreciate it. Thanks,
No,
guys.
thanks
Thank
for your
you.
time. That brings us to our first public hearing, 1 Dutchess Avenue. Make a motion to open the first public hearing.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody like to speak on the first public hearing? Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Millay with the law firm of Heroes and Millay for the applicant, the O'Neill Group Dutton LLC, with regard to the project known as 1 Dutchess Avenue. Should I remain seated, or would you like?
No, you can remain seated, that's fine.
So I'm sure the board's well aware of the overall the history, which I'll briefly run through on this project. It's associated with the project that's currently under construction in the city of Poughkeepsie. The O'Neill Group purchased the property as a brownfield cleanup site. They invested a substantial sum to clean up the site. They did obtain a certificate of completion a few years ago for having done that work. The property is currently a mixed-use residential commercial waterfront property, which is proposed to be a waterfront housing overlay district designation. It's currently zoned industrial, as you may know. The applicant had gone through the city approval process, has completed that process. As you may recall, the city acted as lead agency for SEQA purposes and accepted a final environmental impact statement. They obtained planning board site plan approvals from the city back in 2015, and they were able to move forward with the project. It's currently under construction. They have certificates of occupancy for the first phase, which is approximately 139 units. And they are, the buildings that are built out in the city currently are very similar to the buildings that are proposed to be built in the town. So if the board, if you haven't done so already, if you would like to go to the city property and take a look at the buildings, we have nice renderings here, but you can actually see the finished product in the city currently. And as you're well aware as well, there is a passive waterfront park area, the Greenway Trail, which provides a nice recreational space that goes from the city through the town. And we have confirmation that's been submitted to the board with regard to the city's obligation, willing to take on the obligation of maintenance of the entirety of that waterfront parkway area. So what had happened previously in this application is there was a previous plan that was not similar to this plan in a lot of respects. It was proposed to your board. This board ultimately denied that project for a number of reasons, which we'll run through. And this applicant appealed that decision in Article 78 proceeding. That led to us coming back and working with the town's consultants to address the specific concerns of the board's denial resolution, and they've worked extensively with your town consultants for a significant period of time to work those out. And I think we've reached a point in time where at least the town's consultants are satisfied with the modifications that have been made to the current proposed project. So the current status of the project, as you know, is the city portion's under construction. There are certificates of occupancy that have been issued for some of those units. The city is committed to maintaining the riverfront park area as per the letter of May 1st of this year. The plans were revised In addition to the revised plans, the applicant did resubmit a revised project assessment, which was fairly detailed, which I won't bore you running through. You have that, your consultants have that, I'm sure you've seen it and read through it. It's part of the record here today. So the overall proposal is to take this old industrial site and turn it into, nice, beautiful waterfront residential, commercial mixed use. There's been support for this project by the project's neighbors, which are very limited. There aren't many neighbors to this project, but those that are around it have expressed their support for it. That includes Marist, the Hudson River Rowing Association, Vassar, Scenic Hudson. I understand this board has made the 239M referral to the county, and the county returned with a matter of local concern letter, and that your planning board has reviewed it pursuant to your referral under your WHOD legislation, and they've also made a positive recommendation that the project does support a WHOD designation. So this brings us to the resolution of 2016, where the board expressed its specific concerns with regard to the project. Those concerns were, first and foremost, that there was no commercial use proposed on the plan. So this board proposed a mixed use as opposed to the residential use that was previously proposed. The board also expressed concern over the density, the lack of on-site recreational amenities, insufficient parking, the driveway aisle being too narrow, insufficient room for snow storage, significant adverse impact on the environment based on the above, and overall, when you take each of those items and you kind of group them together, the overall concern of the board seemed to be too much building coverage, too little open space. It was too crowded, didn't provide the look and feel that the city council was looking for. So the applicant had revised those plans. The newly revised plans are revised to the satisfaction of the town consultants and the planning board. Obviously, we're now back before your board. As you can see, there was a commercial building added of 4,000 square feet, and that's both to serve residents as well as waterfront visitors, which was a goal of the board as expressed in its denial resolution. The current project consists of 112 bedrooms, 56 one-bedroom and 28 two-bedroom units. It consists of 2 residential buildings, both of 4 stories in height, 42 units in each. And we'll also discuss in a minute, we're going to be seeking a waiver of the building height requirement from your board pursuant to the WHOD legislation. The applicant has also increased the recreational facilities and amenities, which includes outdoor rooftop terraces, which is a very nice feature, greenway trail, the river walk to be maintained by the city. It includes outdoor amenities in the city, which is also to be used by the town residents as well. Includes 2 pools, hot tub, fire pit, barbecue, pergola, clubhouse. On the town side, there's also a barbecue, fire pit, and outdoor seating areas. And all of those areas will be able to be used by each the town and the city residents as one overall development. It also includes indoor amenities, which includes a community room, outdoor terrace, and common area amenities. And the goal here is upscale market rate housing, befitting a waterfront community. It's meant to be an attractive, aesthetically pleasing project with acceptable architecture, which, as you can see in the renderings, is high-quality architecture as well. And the 4-story building height is intended to provide views of the Hudson River. It also provides the ability to have the rooftop terrace as well as the number of units that are 2-bedroom as opposed to more smaller 1-bedroom units. So the idea is to attract young professionals, empty nesters. This will ultimately improve the economy of the town. And really, there is a significant amount of interest in this project. I was discussing with my client earlier, of the 139 units that have been built that they've received COs for, they have 90% occupancy of those units already. So with regard to the specifics of the denial previously, density, the density currently complies with the WHOD legislation. The newly revised plans provide more usable open space and improved layout with more amenities and recreational areas. In terms of numbers, the legislation allows 28 units per acre. This parcel is approximately 3.8 acres, which would allow 106 units. The project proposes 84 units, which is 80% of the allowable density. So it does comply with the density. And the concern, as expressed in the previous resolution with regard to density, was again that there was too much building, too little outdoor space to accommodate the residents there. And this plan's been revised specifically to address those concerns and to provide more attractive outdoor areas, as well as more indoor amenities as well. The recreational amenities are improved both inside and out. Snow storage areas have been increased by reducing the number of buildings to 2 4-story buildings. The applicant was able to provide numerous areas on the plan where snow could be stored, green grass areas, the Greenway Trail area, et cetera. With regard to parking, that was another concern of the board's. The board wanted 140 1.25 spaces per bedroom. The code requires 1 per 250 square feet of commercial spaces. So that would be 16 spaces for the commercial building required. So when you add that up, it equals 156 spaces is required pursuant to your legislation, and the applicant is proposing to provide 159 spaces in order to comply with the resolution of denial concern of the board. The board also expressed concern with regard to the driveway aisle. 24 feet was previously proposed, which the board felt was too narrow. The applicant has submitted in its new project assessment the truck turning radius analysis, which shows that a fire truck would have access throughout the site, and that they have increased the aisle from 24 feet to 26 feet. And I understand the fire department is satisfied with that as well. So with regard to the building height, the applicant is seeking a waiver as part of this application to have 4-story buildings rather than 3-story buildings to accommodate a better plan that's more in line with the town board's concerns, and which will allow indoor and outdoor common areas as expressed. And it complies with the overall purpose of the WHOD, which was the main concern of the board previously, in that it does provide a mixed use of residential and commercial in a homogeneous way. So at this point, once the board, if the board were to approve this project, they would have to still, of course, go back to the planning board for site plan approval, where site plan is going to involve review of a lot of the things that this board's already reviewing, but they're going to review it as well and give their comments and concerns. However, they've already expressed their opinion, at least with regard to the overlay, that this project is appropriate for an overlay district designation. Of course, the applicant will also agree to pay the recreation fees, if any, required pursuant to your town ordinance, as well as to the state law. And with regard to the building height, just want to make a few comments with respect to that. This was a discussion that was had early on with the resubmission of the application and the plans that were drawn up with regard to that. If the buildings were to remain 3-story units, 3-story high buildings, that would end up in being primarily 1-bedroom, smaller units, which is not a very attractive development for this area. In order to really get good market rate housing and to not narrow the market, you're going to want some 2 bedrooms in there as well. So bringing the buildings up to 4 stories not only allows for better, bigger units, which are more attractive, more marketable, it also allows the ability to provide those rooftop terraces, the better and nicer views of the Hudson River, more green areas, more community gathering areas on site, which will make it a much more enjoyable place to live and much more attractive aesthetically. Further, if the buildings were to be reduced to 3 stories, that would really result in detriment to the success of the project financially, which wouldn't, behoove the applicant or the town board. I mean, this town board's stamp is on the project for all intents and purposes, so you want a nice project on the waterfront that you can be proud of, and this is that project. Actually, it comes right out of this board's concerns. And again, they're at 80% of allowable density with the 4 stories, so they certainly comply with that requirement. And it does provide more usable open space. So your legislation for the WHOD designation does include the ability to seek waivers, and I would respectfully submit to the board that this is the very type of situation why that's true and where that should apply. The ability to waive the 3-story requirement and allow the 4 stories results in a much nicer project that satisfies all of the board's concerns from the previous denial. And as stated in the project assessment, all approvals have been obtained, but for this town board's approval for the designation of WHOD, including the waiver of the 4 stories, and the planning board approval, which obviously will follow this board's approval.
Excuse me, just one clarification. The WHOD does contemplate a 4-story, but they would require underground parking in order to, so it's not that 4 stories was not contemplated. What we're asking for is a waiver of the underground parking. So other than that, 4 stories was permissible in the zone.
So you'll see before you, we do have a layout of the plan, as well as some visuals, and to run through the actual renderings. 1 Dutchess Avenue, view 1 is obviously a view from the river, looking at the buildings. View 2, help me Lou, is the commercial building
So,
with the residential behind
right,
it.
so view 2 is actually from the river. You don't see the river, but it's actually looking, I guess that would be east. It shows the prominent building in the front is the commercial building, and then behind it is one of the 2 residential buildings. The view 3 would be from the east end, I'm sorry, from the south end of the project looking north, and it shows all 3 buildings. The building on the left side is the side of the commercial building, and then on the right side is one of the 2 residential, and directly in the back is the 2nd residential. In view 4, you're looking at you're looking for a view from the back of the 1st residential building on the southern residential building, and you're looking and you'll see the area, the seating area, the pergolas, the cooking facilities area, and the 2nd residential building up along the northern end of the property. And the 5th view is a rear view looking west, and it shows on the left is the 1st building, the building on the south side of the property. The building on the right is the building on the north side of the property, and you can see the open areas, the open amenities as well. The buildings themselves have a very nice feature. If you envision the 4th floor of the building, you would run down the corridor of that building, and then at the end of that corridor is a door, and on one area is a community room within the building, but then you can walk out that door, and then you're on the open-air terrace, which is essentially above the 3rd floor, the last units. So that's a little less than 2,000 square feet in each building, together with another, I don't know the square footages for the common area. And then you have a 4,000 plus square foot for the open space on the ground with the cooking facilities, the barbecue, the pergola, and the seating areas. And then, of course, so that is how we have actually constructed the two of the buildings that are existing right now and have COs and are pretty much occupied. And, and it has it's got a large, comfortable area there. Again, those 2 buildings in the city side have pools and, again, cooking facilities and all that, which the town, that's open, that's private to all the residents of 1 Dutchess.
Thank you.
So are these elevators? Do you have elevators in your buildings too?
Yes, we have elevators,
Okay.
yeah. There's security systems, you get in with a fob. There's the clubhouse, which is in the city side, you can only access with a fob. It's got a game room with a pool table and what's that thing with the thing, like shuffleboard, but with metal discs. I forget what it's called. It's a long table with sawdust on it,
Oh, I know
and,
what you're talking
I
about.
forget what it is, but I tried to do it today.
I used to have
and
one at Hopewell Inn.
it ran right off the table. So you have that, and then, of course, the pools are really very nice, and hopefully, when we were here last time, as many of you mentioned, you had already been there. So hopefully you can recall, and if you haven't been, I suggest you come down because it's really, really nice. And this would be, you know, the end of it, you know, and you know what you're getting. We've been compliant, or we've helped, actually, the town comply with their own LWRP, because we have enhanced the waterfront. We cleaned it up. It was a brownfield. You have a natural shoreline with riprap and stone, and then you have a simple, passive park. There's no benches, so no loitering, no lingering, but a nice walkway. And, you know, and that's already been installed. There's landscaping, and, you know, so it's a very comfortable feel to it on the water.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions on
I
that?
don't-
As far as the commercial side, first of all, like I said, I like the improvements, parking, all that stuff, and I still look at the parking as far as the commercial space goes. I mean, you don't know what's planned for there yet. Like, if this was, say this is a restaurant, okay, or a bar, as you know, basically there'd be more requirements for parking for a public assembly than for a shopping center. And when I look at this footprint, it shows like 4,000 square feet, then I see like the rooftop, another 3,500 square feet, and then the patio, another 1,000 square feet. So when you start adding all that up, you know, you could have a lot of people in there, you know, as far as the occupancy level. So do you know, did you calculate that into those numbers?
Well, first of all, the rooftop open space is only a portion of the roof. It's not the entire roof.
Okay, so it's not
So
the
it's not the entire
3,500 feet like it says?
Right. I think we showed it, I would hope we did, but it's not. And we didn't, just because it's the way it's situated, we anticipated it was gonna be more office space, you know, maybe for an architect or someone that wants a nice presentable area. Because it's kind of set back in, it's not as accessible, it's more of a destination thing.
Okay.
We are not anticipating that it'll be as attractive to a restaurant as it would be to just a nice, visually
Yeah, when-
comfortable office space.
Yeah, when I talked to some of your other people, they were talking more like a hairdresser and a deli. They were talking like dividing it to, it'd be two small businesses, so yeah,
And we have the ability, of course, to do that. We could use it either as a single, double door or two separate doors, you know, from the center out. We anticipated that. I don't know that I showed you that on our renderings, but, you know, clearly it could be broken up a little bit. Again, I think it's gonna be more such, you know, more like office space or, you know, like maybe out offices, you know, where you have, you know, people that have their primary offices in Westchester, let's say, and, you know, they want their day off. We were toying with that idea. Just, we haven't heard a lot of feedback that it's gonna be attractive as a restaurant or some public assembly area.
Okay, because then, like I said, the parking sounds like it would suffice for those type of uses, for those types. Okay.
Yes, and of course, if the use were, if someone came in and wanted to propose a restaurant, I think that's going to get variances, or, you know, whatever they would have to do to get approvals from these boards to come back and put that in there, which may be denied. I mean, you have control over it.
Okay, that's all I have.
The width of the roadways as opposed to the aisles. I see that you're submitting that you're going to be in compliance with the 26-foot wide roadways, driveways, and that you're going to have aisles of 24 feet, and if I'm reading this rightly, it's in the parking areas, so between the two lines of cars.
Actually, Mr. Carlos, if you were to look at the, let me come up, it's easier to look, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay.
it says 27.
On the site plan that we presented, you can see that we have a little notation that the driveway aisles themselves are going to be 26 feet.
So you went
We-
up to
we-
26.
We went up to 26, which we were, you know, was easier to do because of the you know, the less congestion of buildings. So, you know,
It also indicates that you have completed a truck turning radius analysis? Has
yes,
it been
that's
submitted?
also in the,
Has it been submitted to the
And
fire
those are,
department?
and both of those issues are reflected in the draft finding statement as
Yeah,
well.
that's fine. It's a significant improvement. I'm not complaining.
So,
Has it been submitted to the fire department for their
yes, I believe Fairview was actually here, or at least they submitted a letter. I did talk to the chief, Chris Mader, and he was fine with it. I thought he had submitted a letter. I'm not, but yes, he agreed that the truck apparatus, the truck that was shown on our submission was adequate for the purposes that they have, and the turn radiuses was acceptable, and needless, so preliminarily, it would appear to be, in compliance with their needs, and of course, that would be reviewed yet again by the planning
By the
board.
planning board. There's
But
one
we're
kind-
confident that it does comply.
There's one kind of a difficult question here. You've increased significantly the at-site common areas and recreation space to approximately 15,000 and change. That's a significant change. And you have the floors on the building. I would think the building is going to have access control, so you don't have members of the public upstairs. It's a walkway along the Hudson River, accessible to the general public. What kind of control are you going to have? That, John
Security?
and Joan are down fishing and they decide they want to go over to the barbecue grill and cook the fish. Is there going to be a fence? Is there going to be?
We plan on
Where is the
fencing it,
line
right.
between what's available to the residents and what's available to the public
Right.
on the walkway?
Part of the issue was that OGS, which was, originally this land was a part of the town. The town had it on their tax maps. It was indicated as a part of the parcel within the town. Upon, a title search, it was determined that in fact, there are, the line that's drawn, creating the Greenway Trail, was actually what they call a patent line, which was essentially some line that was created back in the 1800s, where the state determined this is going to be owned by the uplands owner, and the rest is going to be, owned by the state. So we went through and obtained title from the OGS with the proviso that it would be public space. So we made that, so that was a commitment that was made to the state, and through the secret process, it was something that was discussed with both, with the town and the city. However, there is there's going to be a natural delineation, first and foremost, because of the grading, because the park will be at between 6 and 8 feet. The roadway and the balance of the buildings will be above that at 11 feet and greater. So you will have that. However, we'll determine whether, you guys want fencing or not, I don't believe at the time, I don't know that we have that in now on the city side.
I'm not indicating, please, I'm not indicating it has to be fences.
Right.
I'm seeing a problem or a potential problem for open public spaces, which I complimented you for doing, and who's using them.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
some of that may be kind of discussed through the planning board process, whether they want some type of maybe screening between the two, or fencing, or signage, or something along those lines. As far as the buildings, as expressed earlier, they'll be secure with a key fob. If you don't have a key fob, you can't get into the buildings unless you really kind of try to.
I assume that.
We also have a significant,
It's up to the planning board, it really makes no difference.
Right.
But when I went through the whole thing,
No, it's valid.
that jumped right off to me
Sure.
as being the possible source of a conflict.
Right.
So I'm sure.
We have
plan-
cameras set up also throughout the existing project now, and those are monitored. So, they will get the same kind of treatment on the town side.
The management company?
What?
Management company?
Well, we manage it.
Okay, but there is a management.
Right. We have a permanent side.
So there'll be a
Yeah,
way to
no.
report it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do. The last time you were before us, you had proposed that the green space, the walkway space, was to be dedicated to the town and maintained by the city. Is that still the intent today?
No, I believe the town did not want to own it. And in the letter from the city that was submitted, that Mr. Malay alluded to, it says that the city will own it and maintain it.
Okay.
Yeah, and everything I've seen up to
I
this
have
point was
submitted,
at
I
the
can
town
try and
level.
find a copy if you'd like to see it. Oh, in regards to the waiver of the building heights, the current buildings that are already constructed on the city side are already 4 stories, so
Yes.
you're wanting to match.
Well,
what's already there.
what we're suggesting is that we be permitted to build buildings, what we call B and C. You know, they exist, they're up, they're operated, they're inhabited, and you're welcome to come on down and look. If you were at the project, you would be able to, you know, and you're at the, you know, you're in the, let's say you're at the clubhouse, which is along the river, and you look out toward the pool, it would be on the left and the right.
Yeah, and also I think it is a good height because there's a significant bank behind it.
Right.
So it really fits in nicely to the terrain to have 4 stories there. It makes
Right.
sense.
And really, when constructed, I mean, those terraces are going to be really
Yeah.
impressive,
Yeah.
looking out toward the river. Take advantage of being on the river.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm less concerned about people wandering there too, because there's a big public park further down on the city side, and I think people tend to congregate more there. You know,
We don't have
at the end
really
of
areas.
at the end of Main Street, there's a
Right.
significant public park there, and I think a lot of people do the recreation there.
Part of the issues in our years in front of the town board was an expression that we didn't really want congregating people there. And they asked us to eliminate, we initially had proposed a playground, that's gone.
Yeah.
They didn't want any benches, those are not installed at all. So it's really a very nice path
Yep.
with landscaping, and it's that.
Yeah,
So there's no, you know, there's none of that interest in, you know, hanging out, so to speak.
Yeah.
Can walk and
It's a
keep
pass-
walking.
It's a pass-through, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a significant park at the end of Main Street where there are benches and picnic tables and
Right.
places for people to congregate, so.
I want to thank you for working with Mike so far in this project.
Right.
I mean, it's the first time the board has actually seen a finished project, you know, product from you, which is very nice, and you listened to the concerns that I had. Mine were parking in the snow. I think you've seen, we've seen some of the cutoffs, there's a lot of changes. And looking at the project down there, some of Bill's concerns, I think, are addressed when you see the city side. The way you have the barbecue areas are sort of behind the building, they're not really open to the public. And the difference in the elevation, I think, is going to help, you know, just delineate the walkers from coming up onto the property. But, you know, you live and learn. You may find out, you
Yeah,
know, 6 months in, that you may want to come back and
Actually,
change something.
that area is fenced off. You know, the pool area, you know, the cooking facility, that is fenced off.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? No? Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Has anybody else got anything to discuss on this project? No? If not, I'd like to make a motion to close this public hearing.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to table this to the first meeting in January. Just have everybody a chance to go over it. We'll put it back on the agenda for January.
Second?
All those in
You
favor?
want it at the reorg or the meeting after that?
No, at the reorg. We'll be fine.
For another
Do it
public
the-
hearing, or
You want to
just-
do it the
No.
second meeting?
No, we can do
Because
it.
the first is the reorg?
Yeah, that's fine. We don't have a big agenda. We can do it the first.
Okay, is that really necessary?
Yes.
I mean, I've had a good chance to look it
A
over.
lot of people would like to look at it, and the councilman in
Yeah,
that
Mike's
ward
not
is not
here.
available tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
All those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
So that was the
Okay.
reorg meeting?
Yeah, it'll be on the reorg meeting.
January 8th.
But not another public hearing, it'll
No,
just be.
public
vote
hearing,
on
Just
it.
be a vote.
public
Yeah.
hearing's
Just
closed,
a
it's just a vote, and give everybody a chance.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for addressing all those concerns.
Yeah.
That comes to public hearing number 2. Make a motion to open the public hearing on the Marple Road traffic sign.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody here to discuss the Marple Road traffic sign? Mr. Nelson?
The traffic consultants are gathering information on what I think you might call the incidents at the intersection. And I don't expect that they will finish it within the next several weeks. If they come back and they recommend a signal, there's going to need to be an amendment to the hearing notice. But if not, you could go ahead with the sign. So perhaps the safest thing to do would be to put it out another 2 months.
2 months? Okay. You don't have a date for that far out, do you?
Not until they approve the town board meetings at the reorg meeting on January 8th. So to adjourn to be determined.
Yeah.
But normally the town board meetings are the first and third Wednesdays, right?
Normally, but I don't, off the top of
And we
my
make
head.
it, we adjourn to the first meeting in March. date to be determined.
Okay, that's perfect. The first town board meeting in March.
All those in favor?
And
Aye.
when- And when you approve the meetings at the reorg meeting, we can mention that.
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to our regular town board agenda items. Jeff?
Ready for it? Whereas Mobile Life Support Services, Inc. has agreed to provide ambulance service to the New Hamburg Ambulance District for the cost of $36,840 for the calendar year 2020 and $38,280 for the calendar year of 2021. And be resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute a 2-year extension agreement in a substantially the form annexed and on terms acceptable to the supervisor and the attorney to the town with Mobile Life Support Services, Inc. for ambulance service for the New Hamburg Ambulance District for the calendar years 2020 and 2021. And be it further resolved that the town board finds that this is type 2 action requiring no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
Excuse me. Motion second. Any questions on this?
I think a great contract, again, really,
No, I
pretty
agree.
reasonable.
Jeff, thanks for helping on this contract. It's a very small increase, and it still is, I think, a great deal for residents
Correct.
of the New Hamburg Ambulance District down there.
Yes, I know people that use it quite a bit.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution 4A, be resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby consent to the town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board acting as the SECA lead agency. Notice of intent paperwork can be found in the town clerk's office for the project known as Manor Hill Community, 246 North Grand Avenue, Poughkeepsie, New York, tax grid number 6162-16-970397. So moved.
Second?
Motion second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby consent to the town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board acting as seeker lead agency. Notice of intent paperwork can be found in the town clerk's office for the project known as Raymond Avenue School Property Redevelopment Subdivision 25 and 31 Raymond Avenue, Poughkeepsie, New York. Tax grid numbers 6161-12-755735 and 784726. So moved.
Second.
Good. Motion second. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution 5A, be it resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the certificate of attendance for Nicole Giamatti from Dutchess County Planning Federation for the course entitled Understanding and Preparing for Battery Energy Storage Systems, a copy of which is attached. So moved.
Good motion.
Second?
Second. Any questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the certificate of attendance for Rocco Romano from Dutchess County Planning Federation for the course entitled Understanding and Preparing for Battery Energy Storage Systems, a copy of which is attached. So moved.
Second?
Motion second. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be it resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie is hereby reappoint Joseph Giamatti to the Board of Assessment Review for a term of 5 years, expiring on September 30th, 2024. So moved.
Second?
Motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. On the Board of Assessment Review, just so people know, if anybody knows anybody with any experience in marketing real estate, there are still empty spots on that, and we're looking for somebody where, I think we're right now 2 spots short for down there. And everybody knows, you know, Board of Assessment Review is in the spring, and we could really get somebody on board to help along with this process.
Be resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Lorraine Marabella to the Conservation Advisory Commission, which appointment is for 2 years, which term will run from January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2021. So moved.
Second.
Good motion, second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. And the same thing, we have available spots on this commission too.
Resolution number 8, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the rollover of 5 days of unused 2019 vacation time to 2020 for Frank Ozani, wastewater collection supervisor, with the understanding that these days will be used by March 31st, 2020. So moved.
Second?
Motion second. Any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the resignation of Sarah Taylor, typist, with the Town of Poughkeepsie Justice Court, effective December 12th, 2019. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any questions on this?
Who seconded that, Bill?
Bill Carlos.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Resolution 10, be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to sign a sidewalk agreement and any supporting recording documents in regard to Arlington Dental, 876 Dutchess Turnpike, Poughkeepsie, New York, in substantially the form attached. And be it further resolved that such acceptance and authorization by the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie is subject to the approval of all final documents by the Town Attorney, Planning Board Attorney, Town Engineer, and the Director of Municipal Development for the Town of Poughkeepsie. And be it further resolved, the Town Board finds this is a Type 2 action requiring no environmental review. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions on it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has been presented a project known as CPD Energy Group, Mobile North Road, and in order to properly review the project, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie will require the services of a planning consultant. Now therefore be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby obtain AKRF Inc. to provide said services at hourly rates attached, and be further resolved, the Town Board finds that it is the best interest of the town to give AKRF Inc.'s recent work for the town on a nearby project to retain it without solicitation of alternate proposals, and be further resolved that the supervisor or his designee is authorized to sign a contract to obtain the above services on the terms acceptable to him and the attorney of the town, and be further resolved that a for said services is a Type 2 action requiring no secret review. So moved.
Second.
Move second. Any questions on this?
Why do we need this outside of usual?
There was a conflict with
Thank you.
one of our firms in. They're doing Hudson Heritage Project, so we
Okay.
figured it was easy to use them being right next door.
Gotcha.
They probably have some of the paperwork. All
Thank
those
you.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Be resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the resignation of Laura DiStefano from the Town of Poughkeepsie Climate Committee, effective immediately. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to the end of our town board meeting. Now we have committee reports from the committee of the whole. Finance, Jeff, do you have anything?
Nothing.
No. Fire advisory,
No report.
government ops? And, or just, no
No,
report.
no report.
Land use and planning,
No report.
this personnel.
Just like I said, just continue. There's some jobs posted on the website and some volunteer jobs posted on the website for people to look at.
Okay. Recreation,
Yes, I have a report. Anyways, I heard that the senior center had their Christmas party this week, and it was out at Villa Borghese, 75 attended. I heard they had a really lovely time. And other than that, it's CAP staff applications are available online. They're beginning to get ready, geared up for summer camp again this coming summer. So if you know somebody who has some time off this summer and like to apply, have them go to the website. And also, we're going to be mailing out a parks and program guide to all the neighbors to look for that in the spring. And that's it.
thank you. Infrastructure,
Nothing to report.
brings us to the end of our committee reports. Make a motion to suspend the rules for any comment from any resident.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to discuss anything at all? If not, a motion to resume the rules.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just want to wish everybody a happy holiday and a happy new year. The board, all the residents of town of Poughkeepsie, thank you for a very good year we had this year. I want to congratulate everybody on the board here that won the re-election this year. The county finally certified everybody.
I got mine in the mail today.
Yes, so everybody finally got their official certification, I think, so wish you all luck, and I think we've had a great board, and I look forward to working with everybody here for the next 2 years. I think the town's going in the right direction, and I want to thank everybody on the board for all the support that we've had.
And the next meeting is January 8th, the reorg meeting.
Which will also be our swearing-in ceremony. We'll be starting an hour early to have a swearing-in ceremony, which will be televised, and everybody's welcome to come. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.